A lot of loans getting pumped out.
Good stuff.
We all set, Ashley?
Yeah, go ahead, Chairman. I was just queuing up an ordinance for Councilor Keefe.
Welcome to the Legislative Subcommittees. It's Monday, February 22nd. We have two items on the agenda this evening. First item on the agenda is an ordinance relative to wage theft prevention. I know we spoke about this last subcommittee and Councilor Zambudo wanted more time to research it, and that's what we did. We left it in committee until this evening. Does any members have any questions or have anything to say about this ordinance? I know it went to a public hearing and we discussed it since December, so.
Why don't, Stephen, if you don't mind, why don't you give an overview of what it does, why you supported it, why you initiated it, and so forth.
Absolutely. So last week I gave a little spiel about it. So basically, wage theft is the denial of wage and benefits that are rightfully owed to an employee. This occurs when employees are not properly paid for all the work performed and when an employee is paid less than prevailing wage. So what this ordinance will do is it will protect our city's capital. So anyone who wants to do business with the city cannot be in violation of wage theft or commit a crime according to the fair labor standards, or if they were found guilty. So what this does is it deters wage theft by creating an ordinance and only doing business and allowing businesses to place public bids with the city if they were not in violation of the law. So this is fair to other businesses who obey the law and want to do business with the city. Why should businesses who follow the law and treat employees fairly compete with those who are unlawful and do not treat employees fairly? So basically what this will do is protect our city capital by doing business with lawful businesses, and it deters wage theft. And it shows that the city does not condone wage theft as well. I know Councilor Janino worked with me on this ordinance. I'm not sure if she has anything that she would like to add.
Sure. Is that okay with you, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Great. First of all, thank you, Councilor Morbido, Mr. Chairman. You've done a ton on this ordinance and you really should be acknowledged for that work. I'm happy to be a part of this with you. I think it's something that's incredibly important to the city to ensure fair labor and just to ensure fair treatment of our workers and to hold them to the highest standards. So you took all the words out of my mouth. I just want to thank my colleagues and really urge that we get this on the books and, you know, make a better place to work in the city of Revere. Thank you.
Do any other members have any questions? Councilor Keefe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate this ordinance, and I would be in agreement with it based on, as mentioned, it provides everyone with an equal playing field. Granted, you know, there's not much you can do when it's an individual business operating in the city, but if you want to do business with the city and you're in violation, or if you've had past issues of wage theft, and typically that's a lot of times that comes into play with paying, like you mentioned, prevailing wage and or proper overtime. So why should you have to compete with someone that isn't doing that, isn't paying people fairly? So for those reasons, I definitely would be appreciative of this going through. Thank you.
Ashley, can I can I ask, I forgot to do a roll call. Can we do a roll call? I
Sure, roll
apologize.
call of the members in attendance. Counselor Keefe,
Here?
here. Counselor Novoselsky is absent. Counselor Powers is absent. Counselor Visconti,
Here.
here. Ex officio, Counselor Zambudo,
Here.
here. And Chairman Morbido.
Here.
Here, quorum is present.
Now we'll get back to the order of business. Counselor Zambudo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm inclined now to support this. However, what I'm trying to sort out is anybody doing business with the municipality, if I'm not mistaken, has to follow the Prevailing Wage Act. Is that incorrect or is that correct?
As of right now, they can place public bids. That is incorrect.
Oh, okay. So I
That is
was,
incorrect. So this actually sets rules and regulations
okay.
to the public bids.
So in other words, you can bid on a municipal project and not have to follow the Prevailing Wage Act.
It is against the law to, if you're in violation of the Fair Labors Act, but you can still put a public bid. There's nothing that states in our city charter or our ordinance that says if you were found in violation by the state, that you cannot place a bid.
Okay, so I think we're talking apples to oranges.
Yes.
I understand now what you're saying. If they've been found guilty of not obeying the Fair Labor Act, then they won't be allowed to bid. But anybody bidding.
Correct, or if they were like disbarred or something of that nature. Yeah.
But aside from that, right now, if you bid on a municipal project in Revere, aside from whether you're guilty of violating this act, right now you have to follow the prevailing wage guidelines, and you have to report your weekly payrolls and all, like any public bid, right?
It's correct. It's against the law it's
Yeah.
against the law. But if you're now
I get
it. Okay, yeah.
So the point is, if you have been found guilty of this or you've been in violation of this before, you're not allowed to bid. That's
Correct.
essentially-
Absolutely.
that's essentially what this does.
So
Okay, great.
it levels the playing field for those who want to do business that abide the laws
Right.
and
Yeah,
treat
I
their
got it.
employees
I
fairly.
got it. Great. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any other members? And I do not see any participants. Do any other members want to speak on this? Seeing no members and seeing no participants, can we take a roll call?
Sure, roll call on the ordinance establishing wage theft regulations. Counselor Keefe,
Yes.
voting yes. Counselor Novoselsky,
Yes.
voting yes. Counselor Powers, Counselor Powers,
Yes.
voting yes. Counselor Visconti,
Yes.
voting yes. Counselor Zambudo,
Yes.
voting yes. And Chairman Morbido,
Yes.
voting yes. The ordinance will be forwarded to the full city council this evening with a favorable recommendation.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance relative to transient vendors. Just a few items to take note of. One, transient vendors and door-to-door have been broken out into their own chapters. 5.13 transient vendors and 5.12 door-to-door respectively. Two, the rules and regulations for transient vendors is completely new, and the license fee was reduced from $2,000 to $500. The fee is only a suggestion, and the city council can amend it to whatever they see fit. Three, there are no changes in the rules and regulations for door-to-door solicitors. Only the section numbers have been changed, and it has its own chapter. And I'm going to have the city clerk, do you have to read this by law? Ashley?
The chairman, I don't believe we have to read it.
No, Chairman, we don't have to read it. It's been advertised in the paper and advertised in the agenda.
Do any members have, actually, Councilor Keefe is the maker of the motion. Councilor Keefe?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I appreciate you pushing this off the week. I wasn't able to attend last week's subcommittee. But as noted, Madam Clerk shared just with you the screen share on some of the major changes. As mentioned, there are no changes to the door-to-door sales, with the exception of the numbering on the ordinance. The big things, and one of the reasons why I brought this forth was I found that this ordinance wasn't always being followed. So it's one of those where if it's sometimes if it's not being followed properly, or if there's so many ways around it, then it's probably it needs some updating. And one of those came into play with Christmas tree licenses, where I hadn't seen many people come in front of the council over the last few years, and there was a vacant business unable to operate due to COVID restrictions. And they reached out and said, "Hey, what's the chance of me being able to sell? I can't make any money in my property this winter because of the COVID restrictions. Is there a chance that I could, maybe use it as a lot to sell some Christmas trees and just try to help make my mortgage or my rent payment?" And I thought that wasn't a bad idea. They weren't going to be imposing on any neighboring florist or floral shops that might offer that service, so they wouldn't be taking business away. But the fee was $2,000. So for the course of 3 or 4 weeks, the chances of that person recouping the fee, the cost of the trees, the cost of the staff, it wasn't worth it. And I realized that we're probably not going to get many people to want to do it legitimately, and or they're going to be looking to try and do it illegitimately. So this, I think, makes it a little bit more approachable. Again, but we have to make sure that we're also protecting the brick and mortar businesses as well. So I think this is a good balance where people will want to do it legitimately, and there's some teeth in the writing so that we can enforce it. And most importantly, that we will continue to protect the brick and mortar businesses, because a lot of the reasons that we developed these ordinances in the past were to do just that. The last thing you want to do is have a pizza shop or a restaurant that sells pizza and have a pizza stand operate as a transient vendor next door, or a floral shop that makes all their money on the holidays to sell flowers and arrangements on Easter and Christmas and everything, and then have a guy just pull into the empty lot next door and be able to sell flowers without it having any overhead or having any employees to really take care of. So I think this does both. It protects our home businesses, and it also allows people to be able to do some of these small operations that we could collect a fee for. And that's why I was happy to. When the clerk really did a lot of the work here and helped clean this up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Keefe. Councilor Novoselsky?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm glad Councilor Keefe put this in to clean this ordinance up. And I can tell you, whether it's good or bad, back in 1979, when I was on the council, is when we put this ordinance into effect. It was exactly when the reason that Councilor Keefe mentioned, because there was a floral shop on Squire Road right next to the mobile station. And somebody opened a florist stand across the street in the parking lot at Northgate. And the guy legitimately complained, how can you let somebody sell flowers and stuff across the street from my business? You're hurting me. So that's when we put it into effect, that we would make it $2,000 to try and scare people away from going close to another brick and mortar business. So I'm glad it's time to clean this up. And I'm just wondering, I didn't notice whether or not there was a specific distance that people can open up, say, Christmas tree stands, in empty lots. Are we going to allow them to open up next door to each other? Or do we want to keep them 100 yards or so away from each other, to include that in the ordinance, to try and protect one guy or both guys and being able to sell their product and not interfere with each other? So overall, I think it's good, but I just think we ought to kind of look at that and see if we can put it in maybe a couple 100 yards away from any potential other transient vendor.
Mr.
business.
Counselor
Mr.
Keith,
Chair,
would you
through
like
you-
to make an,
Well, through you to Council Novoselsky, again, this would be subject to city council approval on a number of these, not the door-to-door. Those would still go in front of the police department as they currently do for applications. But these transient vendor licenses would still have to come in front of the city council, much like they currently are. So there's really no change in the wording there. So again, we're going to always operate to protect our home businesses. So they would have to come in front so that we can make sure that we are continuing to protect those home
I
businesses.
understand that, Mr. Chairman, through you. You know, and I know we're protecting the brick and mortar, but, you know, do we also want to protect the transient vendors? And that if we set up a guideline or a policy that we can't give a transient vendor's license to two people within 200 yards of each other, just like the state has with the billboards, with the signed billboards. They have it, you know, 500 yards, I think it is. So, you know, I think we want to protect everybody. We still want to let the transient vendors have a chance too. So I'm wondering if we should squeeze in a policy not within, say, 100 yards somewhere. Have the clerk put in a paragraph saying that no transient vendor of equal style. You know, if somebody wants to open up a store that sells balloons, a transient vendor that sells balloons, and a Christmas tree place, we don't care if they go next to each other. They're not selling the same product. So I think, you know, it's the same product, and I think we ought to squeeze in a paragraph somewhere in there, and I'm sure Ashley could find a spot to do it. And in her capable hands of how good she is in writing ordinances. But, you know, I just think we want to protect everybody on this thing, so.
fine with that, Counselor Keith?
Chairman Morabito, yeah, absolutely, and I agree. You know, this is here to take care of the residents and the business persons of Revere, but also be open for business. But you know, if there's some more suggestions, you know, this doesn't have to get pushed through today. This could be redrafted a little bit more for full approval for the next legislative affairs. So I know that there might be some other alterations. I'm totally okay with that.
I'll hear what all the other members have to say, and I'll do whatever the will of the subcommittee is.
I
Councilor
don't
Manassa.
object to that.
Mr. Chairman, I'm concerned about the reduction in the fee from 2,000 to 500. I don't think that's giving a spirit of fairness to the people that are doing business within our community and having a overhead to live up to, and especially during these trying times. And as Councilor Novoselsky mentioned that there were flowers being sold, I recall not too long ago, before Market Basket and the rest of Northgate was fully occupied by businesses, there was a person that went out there with lounges and reclining chairs, and he had them, about 25 or 30 of them lined up, and that's taking away from the businesses that serve our community. I think that we want to be fair to the transient vendor, and I think there should be an asterisk beside Christmas trees, because that's realistically the only business that could be transient that wouldn't hurt the industry of flowers or any florists within our community. You know, you just can't put Christmas trees in a business. You need an open lot. So if we put an asterisk beside that and maybe give them an opportunity to sell their trees at a reduced rate, because that's a one-time a year deal. The rest could be a weekly deal. You know, you could sell flowers weekly. You know, and there's a million opportunities out there to make money, and certainly with the ingenuity of the type of people that we have living in our community now, they're coming up with some great ideas as to how to raise revenue. So, but we also have to be protective of those establishments that thought enough to place their business in our community, and now we need to protect them. And I think protecting them is not reducing it to $500. I think protecting them would maybe be $1,000. You know, that extra $500 makes people be more dedicated to whatever product they're trying to sell. You know, And so I just feel very strongly that maybe when we do discuss further, like I said, I think there should be an exception for Christmas trees or holiday trees, whatever you want to call them. But other than that, any other product could be sold weekly or daily for that matter. So that's all I have to say, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the liberty of talking.
Thank you, Councilor. Point taken. Councilor Zambudo is next, and then I'll go back to Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank the councilor for tweaking this transient vendors ordinance. It certainly needed completing. I think there might be a middle ground between the $2,000 and the $1,000, and maybe $750 might be a better. But what I did hear is that we're going to have complete control over every transient vendor that applies for a license. That's what I thought I heard. And so I'm hoping that there's flexibility that we can put restrictions in to protect our businesses, even with something we might not have thought of when writing the ordinance. So, I mean, the key way back when it was put into to try to keep these transient people from hurting our businesses, that's when 2,000 was a figure, and that would wake up people, because 2,000 was a serious amount of money. Although I think we're at a different time, and maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea to lower that somewhat. I'm not sure to lower it quite to 500 might be going a little too far, but I'll certainly be open to the suggestions and to see what everybody's point of view is on it. But I'm certainly in favor of tweaking this, and whatever we work out, as long as it completely protects the brick and mortar stores, that's what I'm looking to do. Thank you.
Thank you for your input, Councilor Zambudo. Councilor Novoselsky.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, just a second thought. And I understand where Councilor Keefe is coming from, and I could find a middle ground also, as Councilor Zambudo said. But I'm wondering if we want to look at and think about, between now and the next meeting that you may have for us to finalize this, think about making categories of the type of businesses, and whether or not call them seasonal, have seasonal businesses, seasonal transient vendors, or permanent vendors, to categorize those and price them accordingly, depending on their type of business that is, the product that they're selling. So something we can think about over the next couple of weeks when we meet again.
I agree, Councilor Novoselsky. So from here, what I'll ask all city council members to do is to submit their suggestions to the city clerk before next meeting. Councilor Keefe, what do you say, in another month we'll have a meeting, or you want it sooner than that?
Mr. Chairman, yes, when you would host your next, probably in March, your legislative affairs, I think we'll be able to get the suggestions from the rest of the council and work on some of these. I know that the pricing tier would be a great addition, and some of the couple more tidbits of language. And I think we can hammer this out for your next meeting.
I agree. And so the city clerk can gather all the suggestions. We can categorize the vendors into groups, and we can also, if everyone has a different price range between 500 and 2,000, we can take the average of what the consensus is. So with that said, we'll keep this in file. Does anyone else have any comments? Any other members? No participants. So this concludes the meeting, and we will be voting out the ordinance relative to wage theft prevention to the city council this evening. Thank you for attending tonight.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Tony, thank you for that.
My pleasure.
And I know Paul too.
Oh, hey, listen, It is what it is, but they'll take care of it.
Yeah, no, and I understood everything they were talking about.
And everybody there is, they're all the people that were responsible for
Ira,
it.
party of two, Sioux City.
What's that?
So,
Party of two, Sioux City.
how do you sue Sioux City?
Memories.
Tell us, Arthur.
I'll have a lobster pie.
Oh.
We'll have a bone-in sirloin steak.
But Tony, I know exactly what they were talking about, and I have no problem with anything they mentioned about putting them in a different spot.
Good. That's great. All good stuff.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Hey, Tony. Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. What's
Can we
happening?
have, tonight, so today was the first day that one person died of the COVID, and it's been a year. So can we have a point of privilege, or like a moment of silence today
Sure,
for the
you-
500,000 people that have passed away?
Sure, you can have a moment. You can do that. You can offer that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
At the end of the meeting?
Yeah, whenever you want.
Okay, thank you.
Fine with me. The good news is the numbers are going way down.
I know, I had my shot today.
Good for you.
Yes, and I feel fine.
That's great. Arthur had his second shot today.
I know. God bless Arthur.
Thank you, Joanne.
Love you.
God knows I need it.
I needed it too.
I want to get back into life. This is, I've been trying to do the best I can, but this is awful. As this is awful for everybody.
I'll
Wants
tell
to
you,
get out and have those quesadillas or whatever you call
quesadillas. Yeah, I tell you, Revere has it down so well. It's just amazing. I was in Florida trying to help my sister get an appointment. We were on a wait room. We were on 2.5 hours. We were waiting, and they were going like, it was crazy. And she did get on. She did. She had to go to Miami though from Naples. So it's just, and I just walked in the Rumney Marsh school and got an appointment. It was 20
Wonderful.
minutes and it was fantastic. So
it. Now, the administration,
Revere's taking care of it.
they're doing a great job.
we're very, very lucky.
Revere is taking care of its people.
They are.
I told the mayor that I want the council to recognize, and we do it with the kids that have perfect attendance, perfect, straight A's. But I'd like maybe in May or June, if we don't put in any motions and we just have a meeting where we give accommodations to all these volunteers that have really stepped up to the plate. And I mean, if it wasn't for them, we'd be in trouble. So,
Great idea.
and it would probably be like a 2-hour meeting, but I would ask, you could ask the council not to put any motions in that night, and we can just call their name and just have them, I know it's a lot of work for Ashley, I'm sorry. But I feel like we have to do something for them, I mean, every single day, these people are, and I know some of them a lot of them get paid, but a lot of them don't. And a lot of them come a lot of them come from out of the city to help Revere. It's the craziest thing. So I talked to the mayor yesterday or the day before, and he thought it was a great idea. And I don't want to do it myself. I want the council to do it. So,
Great idea.
okay.
I don't know about the month of June. Month of June is dedicated to the budget.
No, I said May.
May,
It could be July. I mean, whenever this
July
thing-
or August, it's just,
yeah,
it'd be
whenever
nice.
it has a handle on it, whenever we have a handle on this, that we can do this for the people. July and August, usually they're pretty, low key meetings. So
Yeah, so we could have it in July or August. It'd be
yeah,
nice.
that's good. Okay, great,
And then we can go to the beach that's behind you and go for a swim.
great. That's fake. That's fake.
The saltwater heals all, Councilor Granazzo.
Excuse me?
I said the saltwater heals all.
Yes,
Yeah.
my mother would have told you that.
I believe it.
I gotta cover my
evening.
legs. Go
If
ahead.
you're ready to grant a difference to Arthur, just make sure it's not Saratoga time.
We're still gonna
All
buy you.
right, John, thank you very much, my man.
Good
Thank
evening.
you.
Calling to order tonight's meeting,
Thank you very
February
much.
22nd, zoning subcommittee. We'll all rise and salute the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag,
United
United States of America,
To
to
the
the
republic
republic
for which it stands,
one nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
Roll call of the members of the zoning subcommittee. Counselor Janino. Here, Counselor Panasso.
Here.
Here, Counselor Sereno.
Here.
Here, Counselor Visconti.
Here.
Here, Counselor Zambuto.
Here.
Here, and Chairman Keefe.
Present.
Here, quorum is present. First item on the agenda is special permit C-21-01. This is a special permit to change of use from 4 residential units and 2 commercial units to a total of 6 residential units at 7-9 Dahon Street.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. I believe we have Attorney Green on, and from what I'm gathering is the applicant is wishing to withdraw. We'll hear it from the attorney.
Yes, that's correct. Hi, Carrie Ann Green. I'm an attorney with Ambrosio Brown, LLP, with an address of 14 Proctor Avenue in Revere. My client has submitted a request to withdraw his special permit application without prejudice, and I'm here today relative to that request. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Green. I know that's pretty straightforward, and it's going to look like we'll take up each of these individually. Do any of the subcommittee members have any questions in regards to the withdrawal? Council Novoselsky? You're on mute.
Here we go. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not on the committee, but thank you for the allowance to speak at this time. I've had meetings with the applicant and the attorneys, and it's obvious there was enough concern with the neighbors about what was going on at this current location. I'm appalled what happened there. I'm glad he's withdrawing. I kind of helped force the issue on it. And it's just that, he's running out of money. He can't finish the job. And, the best thing is for him to try and flip the project. And not continue on his own, because he's been working on it for over a year. And this thing should have been finished a long time before this. So I'm glad they're withdrawing, and I look forward to whoever he turns it over to. So thank you, and I will vote for the withdrawal. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Before I go to any other subcommittee members, it looks like the interpreter has her hand raised. I just want to make sure that, is that correct?
That's all set, Counselor Keefe.
Great. All right, great. Hey, we want to make sure that you're able to take care of us. Thank you. Any other subcommittee members wish to speak? Hearing and seeing none. Okay, Madam Clerk, if we could take a roll call on this with a request to withdraw without prejudice.
Mr. Chairman, could I just,
Yes.
point of clarification, or what would a yes vote be and what would a no vote be entail? Would we vote yes to allow a withdrawal? Is that?
Yes, a yes vote would allow a withdrawal, a no vote would not allow a withdrawal, then we would subsequently have to vote to turn it down or to deny it. In essence, yeah, yes vote would allow him to withdraw.
Thank you.
All right. It also gives him an opportunity, if he wants to revise it to meet more community standards or what the neighborhood would agree upon, then that would give him a chance to come back later on and do that. Madam Clerk?
Roll call.
Sure. Roll call of the committee members. Shall the city council subcommittee allow the withdrawal without prejudice of C 21-01? Counselor Janino?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Sereno?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Zambuto?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Keefe?
Yes.
Yes, the request to withdraw without prejudice received a favorable recommendation and will be taken up by the full city council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And the next item?
Next item is C-21-02. This is a special permit request regarding 1540 North Shore Road, converting an 8-unit residential structure to a 15-unit residential structure.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And I believe Attorney Green, you wish to speak on this as well?
Yes. Once again, Attorney Carrie Green, D'Ambrosio Brown. My client also submitted a request to withdraw this special permit application without prejudice. And I'm here today relative to that request. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I know Council Novoselsky is the ward representative of the area. Give us a little more detail.
Well, Mr. Chairman, basically I said my piece before. It's the same scenario. He totally butchered this job. And he's way beyond his means. So I look forward to the withdrawal. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other subcommittee members wish to speak on this? Hearing and seeing none, Madam Clerk, would you take the roll call on request to withdraw?
Sure. Roll call of the committee members to request to satisfy the request to withdraw without prejudice by the applicant. Counselor Janino?
Yes.
Voting yes. Counselor Guanasso?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Sereno?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Visconti?
Yes.
Yes. Counselor Zambuto?
Yes.
Yes. And Chairman Keefe?
Yes.
Yes. The request to withdraw received a favorable recommendation and will be forwarded to the full city council for their consideration.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And that concludes the business of the zoning subcommittee this evening. Look forward to seeing you at 6 o'clock for the subcommittee meeting of the whole. Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
They asked, do we leave or do we just hang?
It's up to you, Tony. You can leave and come back at 6. I myself, I'm going to grab a bite to eat before we come back on at 6. But yeah.
Okay, great. So, but what I meant is we're gonna keep this Zoom open.
Yes, I use the same link for all subcommittees in regular meeting. It just makes it easier for myself and Revere TV, so we're not switching, codes every time we need to, change meetings.
Good, okay, so we'll see you at 6.